We're back to Authors Corner on the Total Education Network. Again, TotalTutor.net for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley. And always excited about Authors Corner because there's such variety of authors. And I really, when interviewing authors, I really like to get to hear what their passion is and why they write the books. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy the show. I don't want to give away the book. So I want to welcome to the program author and life coach Carl Romain, the author of The Parent's Guide to Bully Prevention. Carl, thanks for calling.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. It's called The Self-Confidence Factor. I'm so sorry if I missed that, but I'm excited to talk to you. But tell us a little bit about your background, then we're going to go right into this bullying thing because, again, former educator, dealing with my kids all the time, own a tutoring consulting company. It's just really something that speaks to me and trying to end.
Look, I've been a martial arts instructor for over 20 years, and I've seen a lot of kids come in and struggle with bullying. And over the years, we've helped a lot of children overcome it. More recently, I've noticed more than ever that there are a lot more parents coming in complaining about bullying, complaining that the schools aren't helping them, and really frustrated, not sure what they can do to really help their children. And so I wanted to give the parents an opportunity to have a tool that's very practical, very easy to read. It's short. It's not a very big book, but would give them the information that they need right away. Because I know if this is happening in my community, it's happening in other communities. And when I started reading and doing research and listening to all the stuff online about kids killing themselves and everything, we have 4,400 young adults die from suicide every single year. This is a big issue. It's a major issue. And 3.2 million families are impacted by bullying. So I decided that this would be my effort to try to, if I could save one person, if I could help one family and just make this situation a little bit better for them or go away for them, that I feel like I've done something good for our community at large. And that's what the book is really about. It's about educating parents to teach their kids what I believe is the number one defense against bullying, and that's to have confidence in themselves.
Very interesting, and I completely agree with the confidence thing. And a lot of times what we're doing nowadays is we're kind of putting light to the bullying. We don't end it by getting after the bully and kind of telling the bully to cease and desist. We allow the person being bullied, Carl, to be a victim. Mm-hmm. And that's the worst thing because that self-confidence gets worse and worse, and they really lose a lot of their self-esteem and confidence in life because they're considered a victim.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I observed when I did the research was that if a child was being bullied and he went to a separate school, they just took him out of the environment. When he went to that school, he was bullied again. When he went to the third school, he was bullied again. So the bullying didn't stop. But what was the common denominator in each situation? It was that child that was the victim. And nobody dealt with his psyche, his emotions, and who he is as a person and how he perceives himself. The way we see ourselves is the way the world sees us. So it's really important that we have a better self-image of ourselves, and we have to understand, not everybody's going to like us, and that's okay, but we don't have to believe what they're saying either.
No, we definitely don't have to, and that's a key component you talk about. So how do we teach our kids self-confidence? Because again, we don't want to teach them that the world revolves around them, but however, we need them to have that confidence that they can accomplish things.
Right. Confidence comes from experience, and this is something that we always need to remember. Think about a child learning how to walk. What do? We encourage him, right? He gets up, he falls down. Sometimes in the beginning we help him up. Eventually, they learn how to stand up on their own. And the teaching confidence is exactly the same thing. When our children want to learn a new sport, are they good in the beginning? Probably not. Some kids are natural, some kids are not. But what do? We break things down for them. We show them how to do it properly. We get out in the yard. We're throwing the ball around. We're really showing them how to play the sport and how to be great at that sport. Same thing with confidence. We can literally, and in the book I actually give you tools, everything that you need to know, how to role play, how to teach your child how to communicate better, how to stand tall, how to look somebody in the eye, even how to breathe. So we can do all these things and practice with our children, because if we don't, where are they going to learn those things? The school teachers are overwhelmed. They don't have time to do this. So it's really important for us as parents, the first line of defense for our kids is to learn these techniques, master them, and teach it to them just like we would teach them anything else.
I think that's so important, Carl. And what you're doing is fantastic because, again, bullying is such a problem. And you talked about suicide and things like that. And I had another few bullying experts to talk about that. But it's scary when you get some of these anti-bullying experts that believe that suicide has not gone up and that we're not having a cyber issue in the schools. And we truly are. And I guess self-confidence, let's talk about social media, Carl. If we're not confident as people on how we present ourselves on social media, we're talking about high school students, hopefully, but we know younger kids are on it. That is the big thing. If they feel like they're a failure, if they feel that they're not attractive, that they feel they don't have enough money, that's the beginning to kind of allowing bullies to get in their lives.
Absolutely. You know, when you look at social media, when you see what's going on in our culture, we have to get back to basics. We have to start teaching our kids what is really valuable. You know, if they're preoccupied with materialism, if they're not seeing themselves in a good light because they don't have what other kids have, then they start to compare themselves in a way that, you know, it's just not fair or right. So the best thing that they can do is start to not look at themselves as, oh, you know, I'm not good enough because I don't have this or that, but that the quality of a person is really about their character, not necessarily what they have. You know, and when it comes to when it comes to social media, one of the statistics that I thought was alarming is 95% of parents think they know what their kids are doing online, and the kids say about 65% of the parents actually know what really goes on online in their world. So again, it's really important that parents are involved.
Now, Carl, I definitely recommend everyone to get the book, but what has the feedback been? Because you're taking anti-bullying campaigns differently. A lot of them are about changing the environment around us to look at more of a school-centered, the bystander, all these things. Carl, you're taking a different perspective. You're taking the perspective that bullying is going to happen. We just need to make sure that our kids are have the armor to protect themselves from this. Yeah. And do you get any attacks sometimes of people that come to you that are think differently than you do, Carl, about how you're talking about stopping bullying, or at least for how the person being bullied can survive? Have you heard any people come back at you saying you're wrong, Carl, and how do you defend yourself on that?
Actually, no, I haven't heard any of that. And again, you know, I'm out there, I'm speaking, I'm attending different events. A lot of people actually appreciate the perspective that I have. I mean, let's face it, you know, we can change the environment, and there's definitely some things that we can do in the environment to make it better, right? But no matter where you are in life, and look at adult bullying. Yes. You know, 54% of people in the workplace are bullied.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. It doesn't necessarily go away. And if we don't deal with the self-esteem issues of our children now, then what kind of adults will we have tomorrow? You know, environments and cultures aren't always suited to where we are. And we can't always change the environment of where we are. And we can't just run away when we have a problem. And so the best thing that we can do is instill a sense of self-confidence in someone so they know they can handle themselves in any situation. That's what martial arts teaches you. And that doesn't necessarily always come from learning how to punch and kick somebody, because that's not the answer either. Right?
Now, Carl...
So real confidence, right. Real self-esteem.
Exactly. Now, you're talking about martial arts, Carl. How did it kind of take from being a martial arts expert to this process, being an anti-bullying expert, being a life coach? How did you okay, I see more for me than just that. I'm going to take what I've learned in martial arts to writing books and talking and helping others. How did that, tell us the story of how that developed.
You know, martial arts is my passion. I love martial arts, and I started at age 10. I begged my mom to enroll me in the class, and she did. And I remember my first class thinking I will never quit. And so by the time I was a senior in high school, I decided that my dream was to be a world champion in the martial arts by age 22. I graduated high school, and I started competing, and I was doing pretty good, and I got into a car accident, and the doctors told me I'd never be able to do martial arts ever again. And that was devastating for me, because so many people didn't believe in me to begin with, and now here I am confronted with this big challenge. But, you know, I managed to overcome it. I had some great people around me. They encouraged me, and I did. I made a comeback. I won the World Championships by age 22, representing the United States team, and it was there that my passion led me to my purpose. And I started to recognize things and understand that there are many people out there that have dreams, and those dreams get crushed. They get crushed because the storm came along. They get crushed because they listened to the naysayers. They get crushed because they gave up. And later on in life, they pay the price for that. And I had so many people who had dreams that weren't even that big, but didn't have the courage to go out and find it.
Yes.
And so my purpose was about spreading hope and inspiration. My passion is about martial arts, and I recognize that as a teacher, my subject matter may be martial arts, but there's so much more that I can do. So I decided to get my certification as a life coach. I decided to start doing seminars and encouraging people and really pursuing my purpose of giving people that hope. And along the way, some amazing things have happened. I ended up working with the New York Giants football team, working with Dr. Oz, and I pinched myself when I was in the green room at the Oprah show. I mean, just some amazing opportunities in life, and I wanted to give people that opportunity too. And I understand that sometimes people just don't know what to do. Sometimes they're just desperate and they just need something to believe in. And so through my story and sharing that with people, I found that people have been inspired and people do decide to pursue their dreams, and it makes me feel good that I can contribute something like that back to society.
All right, so Carl, basically, we're going to talk about where people can pick up the book, but I understand you told me another project, you're working with professional athletes. Tell us a little bit about that, because again, I know life after football, life after basketball, life after in these sports, a lot of these athletes aren't able to deal with it. They're not able to deal with being no longer the star and how they kind of reinvent themselves. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I teamed up with Advanced Wealth Partners. We've got some great people. Tomer Dictoro heads up. He's a managing partner, but we've got athletes actually working with us. Athletes like Lou Pettigrew, Ray Lewis, Maurice Evans, a former basketball player. And what we're doing is not just trying to work with athletes after the game, but even during the game or before they're even signed. And here's why. As an athlete, we spend a ton of time developing our skill and our ability, and we actually become kind of one-dimensional. Because we have to learn the plays, we have to learn the moves, we have to get really good, and we're competing and really focused on it. But then there's other areas of our life that are totally ignored. And so you hear about these young athletes, they're doing great in their sport, but then there's all this controversy outside of that in their life. 65% of players when they retire, what happens to them? They end up, broke. Broke in many ways. How many athletes are divorced? So we decided that we would do something where we're working on the whole person, career, financial, relationships, health, really working on their sense of well-being as well. So we're working on all these areas and really trying to provide some tools that they can really benefit from. And so we've teamed up with these athletes. We're moving forward and really trying to make a difference with them. So Advanced Wealth Partners Professional is the name of the company that we're working with, and we're really trying to help these athletes currently and as well as after the game.
Well, hopefully we can have you back on the show with one of those athletes to kind of share what's going on, because, again, with the population of professional athletes I have on this show and also celebrities, there's definitely you need to have the whole bag of tricks, because you never know when that career will be over and how do you continue in your life. And if you're one-dimensional, you're going to be pretty miserable when you're not doing that activity, for sure. All right, Carl, where can
The average football player, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
The average football player, his career is only 3 to 6 years. When you really think about it, it's a short time.
Absolutely. Carl, where can we find information on you, purchase your book, and learn more about you?
Sure. You can learn more about me by going to my website, which is Sifu, S-I-F-U, Romain, R-O-M-A-I-N.com. And you can find my books on Amazon.com.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Definitely going to have you back again. Really, we can tap into this whole bullying thing and a more different issues and different things, but people need to definitely pick up the book and learn more about you. So, Carl, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to Author's Corner, and we'll be back in just a moment.